What's going on, everybody? It's Greg. A lot of y'all can know me as G. Uh, to my brothers over from Ocean County College that I graduated with a couple of years ago, they refer to me as Diamond G. Simply because we dropped a lot of knowledge and we shared and we built together a lot. Um, the bottom line here is that a couple of days ago I made a post in regards to the use of the word nigger, and let's get it straight. It's not nigga. It is not a term of endearment. It is the term nigger, er. When you're down in the South, you're never ever called a nigger with an er. You were called a nigga with an a. So the ignorance that is been perpetrated upon not just black youth or so-called black youth, but also upon white youth, Latinos, is that it's okay to use this word. I personally find this offensive. I have always found it offensive. I was taught, by my parents that should any person call me that, no matter what their skin color is. When I was a young cat, if you called me a nigger, I punched you right in your mouth. That's just the bottom line. That's how it was going down. Now, as we got older and we mature, we learned that there's better ways to deal with that situation. But the premise still has not changed, nor will it change. We have, unfortunately, embraced and what seems to be constantly put out there is a technically, I guess we could call it a subculture of sorts. I hate to even classify it as a subculture because that's leading credence to some sort of cultural normalization, which does not exist. So just for the sake of argument, so that we can all have a firm understanding here, we'll call it a subculture. Within that subculture, which is perpetrated across the globe. This is not just a phenomenon that it's going to affect people of color here in America. It goes all over the place. I met a brother from Liberia and another brother from Ghana, and we sat and we talked about the different how would you say what they believe we are. What type of stereotypes. And immediately, there are certain things that come across. Number one, they said we don't respect ourselves. We call each other niggers. We have no culture. All right. We wear our clothing low. We have no self-esteem simply because we don't know any better. And they believe that because we don't have any type of history, or more or less our history has been blocked from us, we've accepted this mess that has fallen into its place as acceptable, and we're the laughing stock. So there are those who have often commented that when they ask me, oh well, what's your race, I classify myself as other. I'm a member of the human race. All right, my skin, yeah, I have dark skin. Let's not get it twisted. I can't, when it comes down to semantics, if you will, I am considered a black or a so-called black in this society, which in and of itself is illogical, because what you're doing is that you're simply classifying a group of individuals by the color of their skin, while you may have people who have dark skin from all over the world, many of which who are not from here. My wife falls into that category as Haitian. She is not a Haitian American. Her parents were not born here. She is Haitian, And even with that, we could go into a whole other discussion on that, where there's this image of third world, uneducated, poor. Pretty much the same type of correlations that are made here in this country. There's always an effort to try to strip away and keep people confused. This is not necessarily a black-white thing. It's just a matter of being educated. You can put yourself in a category You could choose to stay in that category, and you could assimilate that type of behavior if you so choose. That's not me. I'm a lightener. Let's be clear. I have trice and lightener blood running through my veins, and I was taught, to make sure that I take pride in myself, and I pass that on to my children as well. I digress. Let me get back on point here. When I was working for the county, working for the sheriff's department, and I was working in the jail, and I had my bids. There are brothers and sisters in blue who know me and know that I had no tolerance for the word nigger, whether it came from a person of color or otherwise. To me, it was offensive. If a so-called black addressed me as, "Hey, what's up, nigga?" I took it to him. I wrote you a charge, you went to the hole. I once had a supervisor say, "Hey, how can you do that?" I said, well, it's very simple. If I'm going to write a Caucasian inmate for utilizing the word nigger, and it warrants escalation to the point of being written charges, that's a universal. That applies across the board. There is no double standard. Because what that does, it implies that some people are exempt from the rules, and they can operate within the system but outside of the system. So I combated that on a daily basis. But we're now in a situation. I've been retired from there from quite a bit. I still have relationships with people. But educationally, I now sit in arenas where I have a chance to openly debate and speak to so many different people from across the world, across this nation. And it's interesting when you look at exactly what it is that we are portrayed around the world. Now, that being said, let me touch on the on my problem here, and what I believe is basically is a explanation of what I deem the American Negro. Now, the American Negro, let's be clear, that's not a compliment. That's not a compliment at all. It is an effect where to be classified as an American Negro is to have, you have no self-worth. You freely utilize the words that would degrade yourselves. You refer to your women, your women of color, and this goes across the board. I'm speaking to you too, my Latino brothers and sisters. You refer to your women as bitches and hoes and tricks. That's completely unacceptable. Unacceptable. And it's interesting because over time this stuff is just kind of filtered out. So whereas it might have just been a problem in a minority community, you are now having a point where there's a lot of us who will interact. A lot of us are the product of interracial relationships. Myself, my background is extremely diverse, and I'm proud of every bit of blood that runs through my veins. But now what's starting to happen is that these fools are actually starting to like tentacles. They're reaching out. They're just kind of reaching out, and they're getting all into. They're permeating all forms of the society here, and it's a problem. It's a big time problem. But I won't go into detail on it. But the bottom line is, you need to take some responsibility for yourself. The good news is, the syndrome, as I call it, American Negro syndrome, is not something that is inherent. You cannot be born that way. Okay, as far as I see it, you make a choice. Okay, you can change your behavior. You look at Master P, the rapper. He's one such individual who got paid off of that, and then he said, you know what, I did the wrong thing, and he's worked very hard to try to change that type of image. We've had an individual like that guy, his name Ludacris, who disrespected the women of Spelman, referring to them as bitches and hoes. And they taught him a very valuable lesson many years ago, and boycotted him. As well they should have. But let me get back to the issue at hand here. I'll discuss that at a later date, and I welcome commentary, and we can go from there. I don't have thin skin. Let's be clear. I have had family members who chose to revel in that ignorance, that is, that subculture, and they choose that way, and they catch an attitude. I real talk. I don't give a damn. The truth is the truth, and it's very easy to just crack open a damn book. It's funny. I remember when I was younger. I was in high school, and I had a teacher, and I'm not gonna mention his name, saying right now, but I never forget, this bigoted bastard told me. He said, "Hey, Mr. Lightner." I said, "Yeah, how you doing?" He's like, "Yeah, you know what? Hey, the easiest way to hide knowledge?" I said, "What's that?" He said, "Put it in a book." All right. Now, obviously, I went home. I was a freshman. Yeah, I couldn't figure that shit out. I was like, "Oh, that's interesting," because I stay in books. That's all I did. Everybody knows me. I was a little bookworm. I was a little geek. Running around doing my thing. But I went home. And the next day, my parents, both of them, my father took off because he ran his own business. Him and my mother came to the school and they raised hell, and they checked that fool. Because they said it was an implication of the stereotype, and there was always a saying that the easiest way to hide knowledge, so you want to keep a nigga dumb, you want to hide something from him, put it in a book, because they never crack open a book, and unfortunately that's that's kind of continued on in this society here. But let me go into my point briefly. Now, we talked about niggers, and the term nigga, and how these fools are running around, and they think that it's a great thing. We've turned a negative into a positive. I beg to differ. My first example, first exhibit will be this fine creation here. Okay. What this little thing is, some of you may be looking and laughing and tee-heeing your asses off right now. You're like, "Oh, hey, that's funny." Okay, let me explain what this is. This is, I have several specimens that I keep within my collection, and as you can see, they're really rare in this state here. All right, with this creation right here, is called, and I quote, "a jolly nigger bank." If you don't believe me, please go online and take a look at it. All right, it says it right there on its back. That is inscribed. It's a jolly nigger bank. All right. Now, what happens is, so you for individuals who think, "Oh yeah, ha ha ha, that's pretty funny." Really, have a look. See here. What you do, you put a coin here, right? Yeah, you like that, and observe how when this quote unquote jolly nigger swallows a penny, because that's what it is, a penny, his eyes roll back up in his head, tongue gone. All right, that's the type. These are the type of things. Now, this was produced. This one here is, I believe this one might be from the 1800s. I got a couple of them, but they were produced up into the 1960s. We have this one here. This one here. I've showed these to my children so they can understand, the full spectrum of stuff. So we got this one right here, right? This one is called the Dina. Same thing, the Jolly Nigger Bank, made by the same company who patented that name, right? Now, again, this one here, I would have to predate it. I'd probably date it right around the early 20s. If you know anything about history, and particularly African American history, there was a very beautiful woman. She was a singer. Her name was Dina. Okay, we're not even going to get into the biblical explanations for where that name came from. If you even have a morsel of education, you can pretty much figure it out on your own. Now, this right here is called the Dina. Right? Now, if you notice, again, it's a rolling joke. What I'm saying? She's sitting there, big lips, big broad nose, she's got this necklace around her neck, and again, she does the same thing. She eats a penny and it rolls up in her head. On the bottom, you can see it. There's little holes. It's like a half a bust, you know. But anyhow, Dina was she was a singer, bit of an actress. You know, she did some things. So this came out right around the time when she was really big in this country. Like I said, in the 20s. And we got this guy here. Now this one here is very interesting. This one's a variation of the Jolly Nigger Bank. Now, a true Jolly Nigger Bank does not have. They made very few of the ones with the moving parts with the ears, you know. So to do like that, you do like that, just like that. This guy's his eyes are bright yellow, and his eyes roll down, and as he's gobbling up that penny, his eyes roll back up in his head, you know. Now, you know, like I said, some may get offended. You know, again, I don't give a damn. You should get offended. More importantly, you should take a real good look at yourself and the image that you portray when you step outside your door. Okay? And pass this on. You know, I know, you know, basically, you know, on my Facebook, you know, you look around, everybody that's on there, every one of you as my family members that are on there, this is literally preaching to the choir. You know, I've got, you know, a lot of my family, my Lightner family members, my Trice family members. You know, I have very few, like my friends from high school. You guys know what time it is. Shout out Greg Brown, you know, as he chimed in, because, you know, he knows what we're dealing with here. You know, we've been putting up with this stuff for a very long time. You know, and you know, this is disgraceful. Now, for those people who say, oh, well, you know, those artifacts that you're showing, you know, at best, you know, they were out in like 1960. Times have changed. You know, we've moved beyond that in society here. So, you know, it's irrelevant. I like for you, I issue this challenge to you then. Get yourself on the internet, okay? Go online and pull up Jolly Nigger Bank and put Barack Obama's name behind it, okay? This nasty little bit of history was actually they brought it back out of the you know, we'll say out of the darkness. In 2012 they created a bank. Actually, it looked a lot like this one here, and it was Barack Obama with the penny, you know, and they had put a little sash on his chest, you know, saying that he was a Muslim. You know, so that was their way of, you know, stinging him and letting everybody know. So they put it out. It's 2012, people. You know, so again, you know, I'm not, you know, here to address the fact that there's racism and, you know, or try to say that there's not racism in this society. I'm specifically speaking to you, Mr. American Negro, who's done a lot recently, you know, to set us back quite a few steps. All right. Like I said, I've just gotten to the point where I've had it, you know, and you know, it's time for it to be spoken on. Now, let's go into the word nigger itself. Now, you know, I'm not saying that, you know, if you're a person who uses it, you know, saying, and you use it a lot, you know, saying, let's be real. A lot of people use it in the privacy of their own homes. White, black, green, purple, you know, that's what they do. You know, the politically correct thing would be like, yeah, that doesn't happen. But again, well, let's be real here. You know, you probably use it a couple of times yourself. You can say openly, you know, I don't condone the use of that word. Yeah, okay, but you know, saying so be it. If you've never used that word, I tip my hat to you. You know. But odds are that when you're in the privacy of your own home, you do whatever you want to, okay? And that's my thing. If that's what you want to do it in your home, okay? But when you get out in public, you know, especially those of you who are people of color, when you get out in public and you're walking down the street, you know, recognize that you represent more than just yourself, okay? your conduct, your actions, the way you move and conduct your business. You're constantly on a microscope, under a microscope, because like it or not, in our society, it is always the worst of us who seem to take up the most of the airspace. When it comes to television or any other type of organizations. Now, you can also say that it's a self-fulfilling prophecy of sorts, because you've got these fools like these rappers like the Jay-Z, and I take a lot of issue with, because there's a whole other set of things that he's done that are this disgraceful, and now with his wife there again, they're setting a really negative tone. But that's their right; they can do that. Realize you're bigger than yourself. Okay, you're bigger than yourself. People look at you, and they say, "Oh, you'll be walking and be, oh, look at that. Look at that black guy over there. Oh, good. Oh God, I'm terrified. He's got his pants around his ankles. Oh, he's in a nigger. Oh, yeah, he grabbed my kids. Oh." Now, ask yourself: do you think is that a normal response to that type of behavior? Do you really believe that you presenting yourself in a menacing and non-caring manner? Do you really think that the reaction is supposed to be one where someone should embrace you? Do you really believe that if you're walking down the street and your pants are hanging low, you got your wave cap on, flapping in the breeze, and you nigga this, nigga that, you really think somebody's gonna want to walk by you? You think they should not be intimidated by you? Let's be real here. Now I stand 6'8", about 280 pounds. I am no joke. But let me be clear. When I come across those type of individuals, when I'm out by myself, yeah, I could care less. But then again, I'm a little off from time to time. But when I'm out with my family, absolutely, I'm going to cross the street. I'm going to avoid you, because I know that there is a potential for a problem. So again, people, you want to keep on with that tomfoolery, then you get what you get. Your reactions, the things that happen in society, are direct and have a direct correlation to the way you presented yourself. So we need to stop. We need to stop making negative behavior part of a mainstream culture. If you are educated, okay, and I don't mean you need a PhD from Harvard or Yale. I'm just simply saying that you have knowledge of self, even a minimalist approach to that. If you know something's wrong, speak up and say something. Okay, speak up and say something. Pull a young brother or sister to the side and be like, hey, listen, you come on now, you better than that. That's what you need to do. I do that on a daily basis. Just tell them, hey, listen, man, let me holler at you for a minute. And tell them, what are you doing? What is this, man? You're wondering why the cops will stop you every 5 minutes when you're walking down the street. Why would you continue to present yourself in a way that is going to invoke some sort of response? And then when the stuff hits the fan, and you feel, oh, I've been profiled, and I got roughed up, and this, that, and the third. Well, who do you think is going to have a better chance on the back end of that? The guy who's walking, looking like saying fresh money, more or less. You got a nice polo shirt on, and so even without that, let's say you got a t-shirt on, and your pants are pulled up. You conducting yourself, you're speaking with some sort of authority, okay, and some sort of clarity. You're not utilizing slang, in a public setting, okay. That in and of itself is the greatest weapon that you have. Your mind, that's the greatest weapon that you have in defending that type of thing. When you end up in a situation, there's hundreds, I'll say thousands of incidents where, so-called blacks and like-minded individuals are harassed every day. I tell you, I'm gonna be real with you. I was incensed, at the level of attention that Zimmerman and Trayvon Martin's case got. That was absurd. There are people of color that are being, lynched, saying daily. There are people of color who have nooses tied around their neck and being dragged behind pickup trucks. This is now. This is now when it's happened. This is not 10, 15 years ago. We're talking about now. This ain't the 50s. We're talking about now. But for some reason, their cases never get heard. You have a lot of college-educated people of color, who could be walking with their spouse, and their spouse may be Caucasian, and they're constantly under attack. They've been beaten, stomped, raped. This happens every day. You don't ever hear nothing about that. Why? Because it's not sensationalism. Think about that. It's not sensationalism. There's nothing to be gained by that being shown and that being addressed. There's zero to be gained. Okay? Now just think about that for a moment. Why is it that every single time you look on TV, CNN, MSNBC, Fox, which is a problem in and of itself separately, we'll get into that later. Why is it that you never ever see the guy like you and me, who's getting into having a problem? Why is it that you don't never see or hear anything about them? Ask yourself, why is it that the NAACP, right, who's supposed to be protecting everybody, that's their claim, they protect everybody, why is it that you don't never hear them backing someone who has got several college degrees that's had a problem? No, they don't have nothing to do with you. You're on your own. Think about that. Okay? Even when you go, let's take it one step further. Let's stick on the whole theme of the NAACP. You got them, they had these different scholarships. How many of you out there have been able to tap into the money for the United Negro College Fund? Raise your hand if you have. Okay? Have anybody, I'm going to challenge you to this. Go online and look at the criteria for you in order for you to be able to be eligible for that stuff. Then just think about that. It's a problem. And our society, just as when you have Caucasians and in society they have different levels, different tiers, different classes within a true subclass by definition, and their classifications by race, and they say, hey, well you're upper class, we have the same thing. Unfortunately, what tends to happen is that those who are at the bottom that actually have the potential to go somewhere, they're froze out. And it's not necessarily racism or bigotry from quote unquote Caucasians or other whites. It comes from within our own community. You have a young brother or sister struggling, get out the ghetto. You think they're gonna be able to tap into the United Negro College Fund? Nah, take a look at it. I'm not making this stuff up. These are simply facts. Okay. So on that note, I'm gonna end. I want to shout out my boy Edward Day. He's doing his thing, saying he's up at Rutgers now. I got, a couple of other boys, Frank Kellogg. So we got Double D, Frank Kellogg, saying calling Special K, Joe Gonzalez, my boy Christian Alexander. There's a whole bunch of us, but we're literally like the United Nations, and I still keep in contact with these cats. My boy JJ Tolman, we speak, we represent different segments of America. But the one thing that we have in common is that we're educated, and education is key, and educated is not necessarily holding down multiple college degrees, but we have real world experience. Okay, we've seen what the monster looks like, and we also understand that there's a bigger problem going on here than simply just races or black and white. In closing, I just want to talk about one other topic. There's there's been a lot, there's a lot of times, and it's rough because I had a lot of my cousins, and my aunts and uncles have married people of Irish descent, Irishmen, you know, and I know a lot of them have faced heavy discrimination based on that. Okay, not just from they're from the black community, the quote unquote black community, which again, and as far as I can see, that's what is considered the American Negro. They are not representative of the black community. They are a subculture within, okay, our community, who take every opportunity to come out of their faces with some real ignorance. They face that discrimination, but it's funny because when you look at things, black Americans, the so-called black Americans, we have a whole lot in common with Irish and Irish Americans. It is deep, okay? It's ironic, when you look at St. Patrick's Day. I equate St. Patrick's Day with Kwanzaa, okay? It's the equivalent of Kwanzaa as far as I'm concerned. And it's for this very reason. A lot of people don't realize, they're like, oh yes, Kwanzaa, yay, it's, black history, yay. Like, no. You know what I'm saying? Kwanzaa, for you, if you're a person of color, Kwanzaa, unless you are from Eastern Africa, it has zero to do with who you are. Zero. Okay? It is a man-made holiday. But should you choose to celebrate it because, you want to have something to hang your hat on, I can't fault anybody for that. But I'm saying, again, get in a book. Okay? St. Patrick's Day, right? There's nothing wrong, with having a day where you can display your pride, Irish pride, And I think that's something to be celebrated. But I do find it ironic that you have a holiday, a saint named Patrick. I'm not going to really get into the specifics of it. He wasn't even Irish. He was not. I say it again. He was not Irish. Saint Patrick was not Irish. And there's several different variations, of the, of the story. But look it up for yourself. You don't believe me? You say, hey, Big G is full of shit. Hey, no problem. Look it up for yourself. And I, with the story of St. Patrick, he, his real name escapes me at the moment. But with him, he was English. He's from England, British, or if as you want, you can call him as well. He was British. Supposedly, he was kidnapped. When a band of Irish heathens, right? It's not my words. A band of Irish heathens came and raided. They were raiding, raping, and pillaging. And they kidnapped him. They robbed his family's estate, and they whisked him over as a young boy, took him back over to Ireland. He was a prisoner. Yes. Yeah, St. Patrick, and I'm making it up. He was a prisoner, right? Now, in the 7 years that he spent in Ireland, he ended up having an epiphany when he finally escaped, because he did get away. But as he was coming back, he was like, oh man, prayed to, God. I'm not making it up. He prayed to God, and God told him, you need to go back. He's safe in Britain, but you need to go back to Ireland. The reason why you need to go back to Ireland is because you need to bring faith. You need to bring faith to these pagan heathens. All right? Again, I'm not making it up. Now, tell you, try that on for size. So he goes back, he lives a life of, poverty, and just he was destitute, and he's over there and he's doing charitable good deeds, right? So what ends up happening, after he passes, and I'm just throwing this together. I'm not really, going in detail, but he ends up becoming a saint. So tell me, how is it that he becomes an Irish hero, right? He's passing the lore into Irish lore. Yet, the foundations of it is pretty much similar to what you got going on here in America with the so-called blacks. Let's look at Abraham Lincoln. Black History Month, man, he's great, right? He freed the slaves. Ironic, the savior of the so-called black man is not a black man himself. Same thing with the Irish, you know. The savior of the Irish people is not an Irishman himself, right? That's all I'm saying. So before you come out your face to someone who is of Irish descent and say something hateful or stupid, think about that for a minute. Just think about that. There are strong ties within the Irish communities, particularly up in the Northeast, because of the way they were persecuted when they came here to this country. Okay, they lived in the same ghettos, right next to people of color. Okay, they called all types of variation of niggers as well. Okay, these are facts. I'm not making this up. You don't believe me? Yeah, you don't have to take my word for it. That's the truth. So that's really about all I got to say. Saying may the Lord be with you all. There are those who believe and don't believe, and I respect everybody's opinion on that. And again, think about it. Next time you decide that you want to utilize that word. Next time you decide that you want to get mad, because someone calls you a nigger, and then you turn around and you get back to your house and you start, oh yeah, well, this guy called me a nigger. Let me tell you what, this nigga that called me a nigger, said I want to take his head off. Da. Come on, man. Really? You can't do that. That's just pure stupidity. Okay? Think about it. Okay? So in order for you to be able to stand on even a minimal soapbox, a soapbox at even an inch, you yourself have to have clean hands. Right? You think? Yeah, I mean that's common sense. Okay? So pass this on. Like I said, those of you who are on my Facebook, y'all know how I roll, and I only got like maybe 200 and I'll say 60 or so friends, give or take. I know every single person personally on my Facebook. Okay, so like I said, I'm pretty much preaching to the choir at this point. All right, and I'll probably be putting out a couple of these every once in a while. For those of you who want to like an update on the book, I've already sent it to publishing. So yes, very shortly, my mother's life story, Yvonne Leitner, who I loved and revered greatly. Her life story is going to be published shortly, and this whole situation has kind of been a transition for me of sorts. I'm now, back actively into writing, and there's, I just love it. It's liberating on so many different fronts. All right. So may the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. Be good.